Welcome to Bleachers Speakers. I'm your host, June. I got my buddies from the NFC North with me. This week's edition of Who Will Be Kings. We'll be talking about the NFL Combine, which starts tomorrow. And I'll let the people introduce themselves and let them know. And they'll let you know where you can follow them at, where you can watch their shows. Please support and watch their shows. They have very good shows. So, Dave, you can go ahead and start it off, and then Pay, and then Foster.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Stefano. I am one of the founding members at Vikings First and Skol. I have been blogging and reporting publicly on the Minnesota Vikings for well over 2 decades publicly. And we have gone to podcasts and now live streaming over the last few years. You can find us at Vikings First and Skol YouTube. You can find us at Vikings First and Skol on the web.com, and that drives you to Fans First Sports Network, who hosts not only our podcasts, but our writings. And you can find us at Vikings First and Skol on your favorite podcast aggregator everywhere. And as we say in Minnesota, Skol.
Skol.
Hey,
As we say in Chicago, bear down. I'm Pay from the Bear Claw podcast, also found at Fans First Sports Network. On the audio side, Apple, Google Podcasts, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, Spotify. That's where you can find us if you just want to hear our voices. We got all your Chicago Bears news. If you actually do want to sit down and watch us talk, you can catch us out of YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and we got you covered all around.
Foster, where can you find the wonderful Bleachers to Speakers show and stuff like that?
Well, of course, YouTube, Motor City Metrics. Also, we have a channel, Bleachers to Speakers as well. And then as far as the audio aspect, just Google it. It'll come up. We're on TikTok. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that good stuff.
iHeartRadio as well. Just all podcast streaming platforms. You can check us out. Put in Bleachers and Speakers, FFSN. You'll be able to find us. Follow us. Download the episodes. Fellas, how are y'all doing today?
Couldn't be better. It's Combine week, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It starts tomorrow at 3:00. Who's the positions that's running tomorrow, Dave?
Tomorrow we have the defensive linemen, big round bellies on the defensive side, and the linebackers.
Okay. Now, fellas, I'm going to start with Pay. Pay, out of that, do you have any interesting prospects in mind you'd like to see in Chicago that'll be from that position group? That you
DBs, right?
No, defensive line.
Defensive line, I'm sorry. Not necessarily. This isn't a very stout draft for defensive linemen. So no, not in particular. We do have a necessary need for defensive linemen on the Chicago Bears, but we're gonna have to shore that up in free agency because we're getting close to striking while the iron's hot, and we don't need a project on the line right now. We got enough of them.
Right. I mean, and you guys have plenty of cap space, and then there was an increased cap space. From my understanding, I don't know how that works, but there's more cap money available. I think that's due to the TV contracts, correct?
2 words: Taylor Swift.
Okay.
Hey, she can stick with the NFL and drive up that salary cap all she wants. I love it.
Dave, you see anything? Are you looking for anything intriguing tomorrow?
Oh, yes. The Vikings are very much in need of interior defensive linemen and edge rushers. So I don't know if the linebacker, and we need linebackers too. So whether they break out the D line, whether they put edge rushers in the D line group or in the Linebacker group, I have no idea. I think they put him in the D-line group. We're very much looking. Jerzon Newton, all the edge rushers from Latu and group all the way down, we are paying particular attention to, because that is a need for the Minnesota Vikings, since we basically don't have any. We have 2 under contract right now, Patrick Jones II and Andre Carter II. Andre Carter was an undrafted free agent rookie last year, and Patrick Jones has been on a couple years, not doing anything. Why? Because Danielle Hunter is a free agent.
Yeah, in demand too. Foster, let's pretend like we don't talk about this every day. Are you looking for anyone intriguing tomorrow at the combine? We're talking defensive line.
Like a particular person, or just a archetype?
Anything.
Yeah, anybody. So we got defensive line is tomorrow. That's exclusively okay. Yeah, I mean, anybody that can rush the quarterback. I don't care if you're on the interior, exterior side. If you can get to the quarterback, you're my guy. Because we have needs. We have needs at both. I think we have good depth overall, but as far as an every down guy or somebody that fits that role as a pass rusher, that's what we need. So obviously, we looked at Byron Murphy pretty closely. I think I did a little I read up on it was a Vikings guy on Fans First, but it wasn't specifically Dave. But anyways, I did some reading up on Byron Murphy as well. But yeah, I would love if we were to trade up and get a Verse or a Latu, barring the injury, because he was medically retired, which is rare. And then he was able to come back. So that's kind of a scary, do you want to touch that? But yeah, I want to see hopefully all those guys test well, and we get to see some interesting stuff. And because I will certainly fantasize about having one of them on our line somewhere, wherever it's inside or outside.
Yeah. Well, maybe you guys can help me out, because one thing that I pay attention to when it comes to the combine is 40 times. And I don't care if you're a kicker. I don't care if you're a center. I want to know how fast you run that 40. I know there's other aspects. So, Dave, let me ask you, what are some of the things you look for as far as performance from individuals on combine day, especially like let's go with the defensive line, because
if we're sticking with the defensive line, 40 does nothing for me. Because those big guys aren't doing 40-yard sprints during a game.
No.
What I care about is explosion. I'm looking for 3 cone drills. I'm looking for the cut up of the 40 to see how quick they are, how well they can shed. I'm also looking for the bench press on the big guys. They've got to be able to have power on their upper body, as well as be able to move laterally and develop leverage and everything else. One person I'm looking forward to run tomorrow is Texas interior defensive lineman, nose tackle, T'Vondre Sweat.
He's projected as a later round, but yeah.
Later round, he's projected second round, most likely.
Yeah,
but he's listed at 262, and there's people questioning if he's that light. He's a big boy.
Yeah.
So he'd be your typical zero nose tackle type, even though most of his plays in college was at 3-tech. So it's going to be interesting to see how he comes in, what sort of shape. If he comes in a little bit slimmer, his draft stock's going to go up. But it's going to be fun to watch the big guy, because we could use that too.
Is 260 small for nose tackle?
360.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Gotcha. I'm like, that's tiny. Okay.
No, 260 small.
That's real small.
Yeah.
That's like 1970s offensive line for the Miami Dolphins. Small.
Yeah. But if you look, there are a bunch of now, at least we've got a bunch of them, guys that are under 300 pounds And you figure on your offense and defensive line, you want to be pushing 300.
Yeah.
Generally, to have size and power. Not all of them do. Some of them are as small as 265, 275.
Yeah. Hey,
But I want to see the big boy. I mean, he's pushing 400. So
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I want to see
hey,
him
is
move.
there anything you're looking for in particular from the D line tomorrow as far as performances?
I did want to comment on your 40 fascination. You got a little Al Davis in you, huh? Huh, there, Joe.
For sure. For sure. For
See,
sure. He
gotta
picked
have
the
that
fastest
speed.
person. Doesn't matter.
It
I was
translates. You
as a
can't-
kid. I was a Raiders fan. You know, so that's how
See, there it goes.
ironic that is. Yeah. So yeah.
There it goes. Speeds translates everywhere, except unless you're a kicker. So what I would love to see out of the defensive linemen, say the same way as you like speed, I like power, I like strength.
Yeah.
When I see the guys get on the bench, I'm always checking out who's going to break the record, who's going to throw up 225 the most. How's their ease? How's their form? You know, the elbows tucked. Are they power lifting? Are they just showing everybody this is light work for them? That type of stuff right there gets me. You know, I tune in for that. Because you know every year is somebody doing something super impressive. What was it last year? I forget the guy tore his knee. I think for Baltimore they drafted him. I think he has the record right now. I think he threw up 225 like 37 times, something like that. Something
From
super
Michigan?
impressive.
Ojabo.
Say his name again.
Ojabo.
He's from Samoa, right? Hawaii.
Nah, I think this guy went to Michigan. I think the guy, well, maybe.
I mean, I'm
might
just
be
talking about
talking
his
about somebody
background.
else. Might be talking about somebody else.
But the fact
But
that
me
he
and
can
Foster
take
talking about the same person.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
225 and just go thump, 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 thump,
Yeah.
is ridiculous.
Yeah, that type of stuff. Like, okay, yeah, that guy, yeah, he's got some good form strength. Yeah.
But here's why we say it doesn't matter for as far as defensive linemen. But if you get a defensive lineman, let's say you get a nose tackle and he's 300 pounds and he's 6'5", but he goes in there and he runs a 4.6 40, your eyes is gonna go like, wow.
Mhm.
So it makes a difference. I mean, it's not all you should look for. I'm just fascinated with, see how fast they run. But, that 40 time can move your stock up no matter what position
Oh,
you are,
yeah.
except for like kicker. Of course, nobody cares how fast kicker's gonna run. That's like a symbolism of athleticism, you know what I'm saying? So even with the offensive lineman, you get an offensive lineman that's gonna they won't run in the fours, but if they run like a low 5 and it's like, wow, this guy can really move. That means he can pull. That means, it's a lot of things that go into that.
Well, to that point, the what was I gonna say? To that point, you also want to look at the cone drill, right?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
yeah, all that type of athleticism, quick change ability. So it's all things are good things to look at.
Yeah. Shuttle time and all that stuff. Foster, are you looking for any performance
Broad jump.
things from defensive lines tomorrow?
I think I'm with Pay on the bench. I mean, I would not. Whereas they say that the 40 time doesn't translate, I would venture to say speed on the edge is somewhat.
Yeah.
I think it's important.
Yeah.
It helps, but it's not the only thing.
No, it's not so.
No.
It's just it's intriguing though. Like if somebody runs a good time, it shouldn't hurt your stock if you don't run that kind of time. But if you run a good time, it's gonna be like, oh wow.
It helps. Yeah. It helps.
I'm sure these when the scouts get together, get in their sewing circles, whatever, and they break down your 40 time, they're not looking at the actual like what time that you clock at, right? As far as for a D lineman, somebody like that, what's most important? Get off. So they're looking at how you
They're
get off
looking
in
at
the
the
first.
splits.
Right. They want to see that first half second. See how you
The first 10 yards
there. Right. That's important for this position group.
I'm gonna tell you who I'm going to pay attention to tomorrow, and it's more to it than just the drills. Latu, I'm
Yeah.
curious how he looks medically, as Foster even said, and Foster did a full write up on him on Bleachers Speakers as YouTube channel about this particular athlete, that he was medically retired at one point,
Mhm.
and he made a miraculous comeback to play and be productive. And it's a back injury, which is very, very scary.
Neck.
Uh,
Yeah.
so
Upper back.
I'm curious to see what how he makes out in this draft. Uh, we all know that the medical part can make or break what how far you go, or even if you get drafted, or plays a big part. So what I want to ask you guys: is there anybody in particular that you're looking to see how they fare out in the draft tomorrow for defensive linemen or any other position? I mean, is there a particular athlete you want to see specifically what they do?
Well, on the medicals, it's Latu and it's Penix.
Yeah.
Those are the ones I'm curious about. But for defensive linemen, edge rusher in particular, I want to see Chop Robinson
Ooh,
out of Penn State. The
I hope
kid
he
is
performs.
explosive,
I hope he
and
performs terrible.
if he, it's looking like he may, surprise people and do extremely well, then he's going to shoot up the board. And I agree with you there, June. I hope he's terrible so he's available to us in the second round.
I want him available at 29. Boss, who you looking for, bro?
Of course, definitely Chop, but aside from that, Dallas Turner
It doesn't
and
have to be defensive line. It can be whoever.
right. Okay. Yeah, Dallas Turner and the corner from Clemson, Nate Wiggins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think he's supposed to be one of the faster.
he's one of the fastest. He's 6'2" as well. I want to see how tall he measures, though. They say
Yeah,
they say they're a certain size, but a lot of times it's not for real. So the
but
tail of
also
the tape will tell it.
yeah, but also Cooper DeJean. Like that dude is a crazy. I think he was like a four sport athlete in
Yeah.
in high school: basketball, baseball, track, and football.
I
So
have a theory
um,
about Cooper DeJean. We'll talk about it later.
okay.
Well, those guys run on Friday,
Yeah.
Mhm.
the DBs.
I'm gonna miss those guys. Pay. Who you looking for
I like
individually?
I like the way Dave was going with this, man. So I'm gonna steal some of his shine. So the top three quarterbacks are, I think, reportedly not going to be in the city of Indianapolis, right, for the combine.
No, they're
So
there. They're getting their medicals
okay,
and doing some interviews. They're
I
just
heard.
not. They're not going to do anything on the field.
Got it. Well, that's typical. So the next group of three, the JJ McCarthy's, the Penix, the who
Bo
else am I
Nix,
missing? Bo Nix,
Spencer
and
Rattler.
Spencer Rattler. There you go.
Good one.
Spencer Rattler.
Like a
I'm looking
sleeper.
for them to ball out. That's why I want them to ball out and get a whole bunch of teams that are quarterback needy in the middle and the back end of the draft to force their way up. Get them a quarterback, because the guy that I'm looking for,
Uh-oh.
Kool-Aid McKinstry, I want him to fall back.
Hey, stay away from the
Fall
Kool-Aid,
back in
man.
the second
Hey,
round.
back up, Pay. The Kool-Aid's
Second
coming to
round,
Detroit, bro.
really?
Hey, Pay, I'll let you in on something. Tomorrow, make sure you turn your notifications on, because over at Vikings First and Skull, we're breaking down Kool-Aid McKinstry and
Ooh.
Tyrion
Tyrone.
Arnold.
Tyrone. Yeah.
Yeah, the teammates.
Alabama.
Both
Got
of
it.
them.
What time and where?
Yeah, well, it's on Vikings First and Skull YouTube. It's YouTube only. On that, we'll have the write-up the day after over on Fans First Sports. But the time is yet to be determined. We usually do our Skull searches during the afternoon, but sometimes we're going to do them in the evening, depending on what the schedule is during the day. We try to fit them in. That's why they don't come at any regular time. But if
Okay.
you have your notifications on, it'll pop up.
Okay. Dave, anybody you checking for in particular for this draft?
Oh, for this draft? Oh, there's quite a few.
Okay, well, go ahead.
But on the quarterbacks, there's one other quarterback I want to see throw. I want to see Joe Milton, see if he can throw it 90 yards.
He probably can.
People says he can throw it 80.
He
And
threw it 80 when he was in Michigan. I've seen film of him. He can throw it 80 yards in Michigan.
and
he's a
somebody
lot
says he
stronger
could
than
throw it 90. That's going to blow people's mind if he could do that. Now, the problem with Joe Milton is he's got the arm strength. He just
accuracy.
everything else is, not there. But it's going to be fun to watch quarterbacks. Why? Because the Vikings are going to need a quarterback, and we're going to find out. Because most likely we will not have Kirk Cousins back, even though the coach and GM were saying, yeah, we want him back. But it's up to the negotiations. It's the qualifier they put on it. So we'll see.
Spicy quarterback talk. I love it.
Yeah. Hey,
It's no spicier than that.
hey, I think the odds are the Bears are still taking Caleb Williams at number 1, are they not?
Speaking of which, hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break, and I want to talk to you about a rumor. Maybe it is a rumor, maybe it's not, but it's about Caleb, and it was very interesting. But we'll go to a break. Our listeners will hear some beautiful ads, but our watchers will be back in about 15 seconds. The rumors this time of year. There was something I read. I'm not sure how true it is. Maybe you guys have seen it, but Caleb was quoted as saying, and I'm not sure how true it is. I didn't do any. I just saw it, that he's not going to throw for the combine because he said it makes no sense. Anybody?
That's a rumor?
That's fact. He's not going to.
Yeah,
That's true?
that
Yeah.
sounds right.
Okay,
Top 3
so,
quarterbacks aren't throwing.
huh?
The top 3 aren't throwing.
Okay. The reason why it's big with Caleb because of the stuff he said before. They're trying to make, for instance, he was quoted as saying, I'm not playing here. I can stay in college another year. This person. Pay, this is specifically for you because you guys have the number 1 pick and you might be looking at quarterback. Does any of this from Caleb bother you at all, or you just, it is what it is?
Quick answer. Absolutely not. The things that happened in the past, those attributes, those comments that was attributed to him.
Mhm.
I don't want to play here. I can stay in college. The NIL money's paying, taking care of me well. Those never really came from him. It was just said to have come from his camp. So
Gotcha.
I ain't never really put too much stock into it. Now, I do put stock into what he said today from his own mouth.
What he said?
I would like to be a Bear. I am interested in playing for the Bears. I love deep dish pizza. Jordan's a favorite, my favorite player. So on and so on. A lot of pandering he did today. I know he's
Give me
playing
that
to the
number
crowd.
1 spot. I tried to
I know
cut
he's
my way
playing to
out.
the crowd. Yeah, I have no problem to be lie to me, baby. I'm fine with it. Tell me what I want to hear.
He sure did. It was reported. It was Jordan and Sweetness, where he wants to be at the same table as the Immortals. And those are the 2 that he put up there. And
Caleb. Chicago Bears fans, if you believe this stuff, I think you believe that strippers at the club like you.
That's it. A lot of me.
They
baby.
do. What are you talking about? But to your point about him not wanting to throw, I mean, with him being such a strong consensus number 1,
It could hurt him more than
he can
anything.
he can only hurt himself.
You just
by
don't say it though. I mean, but he's consensus number 1. Like he can only hurt his stock by doing anything.
Yeah.
and I think that's the whole view of the top 3 is their agents say, don't do it. All you can do is hurt yourself. Now, like I said, they got to be there for the medicals and the interviews. I don't know how much of the testing. A bunch of them bowed out of the testing, like the S2 testing. You want to talk about rumors? A rumor came out yesterday. Remember the new S2 test took over from the Wonderlic that's supposed to test how
Yeah.
the guy's brain works and how fast
Mhm.
he tracks stuff on the screen?
Mhm.
Well, the last year we heard that the Houston Texans quarterback,
He was the worst.
he was the worst. He got a low score.
He also
Right.
threw, but go ahead.
And right. So the Carolina went with the other quarterback.
Yeah.
And
I
didn't do
thought it
so
was a
well.
mistake.
Such a model franchise.
I
Uh-huh.
thought it was a
Carolina.
mistake before then, but I just said Stroud is your guy.
Well, it turns out who ran that S2 test? It was the Texans.
Mm.
Smoke screen.
Damn, that's crazy.
This guy's the worst. Don't draft him.
And that's what it's looking like. And we get that all the time this year. Fans have to be wary of what you hear, what you read, what you see, even from reputable folks that, hey, your team wants to trade this team for put in Justin Jefferson. No, that ain't right. But that's what goes out this time of year. So just be careful.
Smoke screens.
But I thought it was funny when they found out and the Texans did the test.
Yeah.
And they got the quarterback they wanted.
That's
Shocking.
That's
It worked out.
excellent work from them. Excellent work. You hear it every year this time of season. Some prospect, highly touted prospect. You know a couple of them, Dave Tunsil. They all there's always something that gets reported, like something in their background. Like why it gets to the point where you start to think like, is this smear campaign orchestrated? What's going on here? And as you said, some of these things are doing dirty work, playing it, playing in the weeds, being a little shady, doing a little
playing dirty pool. Yeah.
They got whole psyops departments that are running, dirty tricks campaigns.
Dirty trick. Hey,
Yeah, like I'm gonna start one that says Chop Robinson said he won't play good for anybody else but the Lions.
Just one team.
Let's get that aggregated.
Look, I gotta apologize to Mail in Motion. I'm gonna pin some comments from Mail in Motion. I haven't been reading the comments, but I'm gonna do them real fast because I love participants and I don't want them to think that we're ignoring them. Mail in Motion says Vikings need a new wide receiver now. Whoa, I thought that was a strength for the Minnesota.
We could use a wide receiver 3, but our 1 and 2 are pretty much locked up.
Pretty good. JJ, Mail in Motion also said JJ may go to KC. He probably won't play for the next 5-10 years. If he does,
Justin Jefferson isn't being traded.
Sorry. Mail in Motion speaks. Mail in Motion says Caleb has seen the light. Yeah, it makes sense because you can throw up them. Even if he doesn't say it, it's the week to talk right. Like, get it together. Mail in Motion says no apologies needed. I appreciate you, Mel. That about do for the comments so far, and I'll try to keep up with them better. Another thing is, like, who's the other 2 quarterbacks that's not throwing?
Jaden Daniels and Drake May.
Like I said, they can't do anything but hurt their stock by throwing.
Exactly.
I think it was the other stuff that was compounded with Caleb that makes it look kind of iffy. But it wasn't by Caleb, but the other things that are being said. But like you said, there's no telling who actually said it or the intent. So hey, but I think Caleb is going to the Bears at number 1. I thought it was going to be Maserati Marv.
No. The Bears at no point. I like to believe that I'm not a fan of a team that at this juncture in a draft that had this many high quality cornerbacks in the top of the draft was considering drafting a wide receiver at number 1. I like to believe that I'm not a fan of a team that would do something like that.
Well, let me ask you this now. We talked about wants and who we're looking at. I'm going to ask this question to Dave. Pay, you can go next, and Foster. What is the absolute wrong pick that you can hear with your first pick on draft night? What is the absolute wrong? Like that name you don't want to hear.
Oh, if I'm supposed to go first,
Yeah.
I want one of the top 4 quarterbacks.
Okay.
Now, the Vikings announced yesterday Josh McCown is our new quarterback coach,
Mhm.
which was interesting because we didn't get rid of the old one. We promoted him to a different position, but we didn't get rid of him. Well, Josh McCown coached Drake May in high school and started Drake May over his own son.
Wow. Well,
And so we're wondering, are we going to make a move to go up to number 3 or 4 position to try to snag Drake May? And that's where we would have to go if we're going to do that. Now, if we sit at 11 and all the top 3 are gone, I'll take JJ McCarthy and be happy. That may be a little bit of a reach for JJ. I don't think so. I'll take him and be happy. Then we'd probably go with a bridge quarterback and go on from there. Now, the one I worry about is Penix. Penix has a sweet ball and he throws real well, but it's this what I call Sam Bradford knees.
Yeah.
The injuries to his knees and his
Couple of them.
both knees,
Both knees.
and his 2 injuries to his non-throwing shoulder.
Mhm.
But that's why I talked about him in the medicals. That's the one I worry about. Well, no, he's not the worst. I think Bo Nix. I don't want Bo Nix. I'd take Rattler over Nix. But that's just me. That's just Dave. Now, what the Vikings do, who knows? They may get stupid and take a cornerback or somebody like that. We need one, but we need that quarterback of the future. We need that future replacement. If it's JJ McCarthy, we can get a bridge guy, whether it be Zach Wilson or Sam Darnold, and move him in there and let him play the first half of the season while JJ learns, right? That'll be fine by me. We're not going to, it's no skin off our nose if we finish 4th in the division and we're still going to win probably close to, half our games. But as long as we have our quarterback of the future, it's all golden. So that's what I want to see. What I don't want to see is Vikings are not going for a quarterback because they re-signed Kirk Cousins.
That's what I was trying to get to. Pay with the number 1 pick in the draft, the Chicago Bears select this person that you do not want to hear, or position. You can say it that way. What?
Oh, this is easy. Drake May.
Okay.
That is the most wrong the Bears can get on draft night. If they draft Drake May, I don't care what position it goes into. They can draft him number 1, 2, 3, 17. I don't care. If you draft Drake May, you have failed. You have failed, and you failed miserably.
Why would Drake May be so bad for the Bears?
At that point, you see,
Trubisky.
Drake May's floor isn't as high as Justin, in my opinion, and his ceiling definitely isn't as high. The only reason you would draft Drake May is to reset the clock. That's not a good enough reason.
Okay.
Foster,
well,
a name you don't want to hear, or position.
I think the position I don't want to hear is receiver.
Okay.
Why Detroit loves receivers in the first round, though.
I almost said tight end.
And tight ends.
We go that route too.
I'm going to get to that.
But yeah, receiver.
There's some good ones this year.
There are, and I can almost see just the simple fact that it's the first round. There ought to be a receiver. That's it. Receiver.
Well, I got a question for you guys. Do you draft for need or draft for talent? I.e., you need a defensive edge rusher.
Mhm.
Okay? We all could use one. All 4 teams in the division could use one. But sitting there in front of you happens to be one of the top corners, one of the top receivers, and they rank a little bit higher on your team's draft board.
Mm-hmm.
Do you go for the need position or do you go for the talent?
If it's a corner, I feel just as good about it as the edge rusher, especially depending on how the free agency starts. We may knock the ball out of the park with a Danielle Hunter in free agency before corner for sure. Receiver, I almost can see. I see on one of the mock drafts where Keon Coleman, the 6'5" receiver out of Florida State, I could see us maybe trying to replace Josh Reynolds with that because he's also a 6'4" receiver. And
in the first round,
I saw one where he was
If Keon runs a good 40, he'll be up there.
It said he was mocked to the Ravens.
okay,
He runs a good
Who
40.
also, they got Zay Flowers, they got Beckham, they got Bateman, a whole bunch of little guys. So maybe that gives them their, option to go, up top. That's where I didn't even get a chance to really read it, but so I can see the thinking there, but you leave a solid edge rusher on the table, especially if like a chop is available, and the other thing that's going to be is how they interview. The head coaches, I guess, don't have to go, but Campbell, they said, is present, and his focus is on the interviewing and getting a chance to meet with the guys because he's big. They're big on culture, and if he's a Campbell guy, if you're not a Campbell guy, Jalen Carter, nah, not a chance. We knew that, even though we were upset about it, we knew Carter did not fit the mold, and I think ultimately we made the right decision based upon, going to get Gibbs, Laporta, Branch. Those guys fit right in seamlessly. I don't know how Jalen Carter has done, but Philly has been pretty dysfunctional this year.
Well,
so in that case, he made it great.
A brief disclaimer before I approach this. I'm going to run some names by you. Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm going to say Jahmyr Gibbs. Also going to say Laporta. Those are all draft picks that I hated and despised.
Yeah, so you don't get a
I'm probably the wrong person to be talking about who we should draft because I've been totally wrong the past few years about their draft decisions, and they've hit a home run with everybody I hated. The first,
they could be good. They could be good players, but where they could have been also overdrafted.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the Gibbs pick is working out. I think Laporta is working out. I hated those picks. Amon-Ra St. Brown, like there was another receiver ahead of him that I felt that they should have took. And look at what he's doing. Like, I'm probably the wrong person, but there's a name on there that I talked about earlier that I don't want to hear, even if he falls, which I don't think he'll fall to 29, but I don't want to hear Cooper DeJean. And it has nothing to do with his ability. It has nothing to do. I just think we need an outside corner, and I don't think he's an outside corner as far as what we need. Now, I think he can do a lot of
zone
things.
heavy. I know that that they said, but he does go to Iowa.
Yeah, but my
Iowa boys are different.
I mean, the Iowa boys are different. But like I said, I'm probably the wrong person to ask. So it's just, hey, but at the same time, he plays I think he's more suited if he played like safety or slot, just my opinion. I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong, but as far as what the Lions need, I think they need more of a coverage type of corner that can hold down one side, whichever side you put him on. And I don't think Cooper.
That's good at man.
Yeah, I don't think he's the person. There's a few comments I'm going to put up here and go through them kind of fast. Sean Gurley says, from the office of Big G, J.J. McCarthy will be the largest jump in draft stock after this weekend.
Very well
What
could be.
office? What office?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Sean, if you can ask us what office of Big G is, we'd appreciate it. Defensively, Chris Jenkins, D tackle Michigan, and cornerback Arnold from Alabama will have the biggest jumps defensively.
Oh.
Very interesting. Troy says, "What's up?" And frustrated. That's you in it.
That's
No, Drake May.
Mel Emotion says, OBJ is a free agent. So yeah, that's
interesting.
probably why I'd be going there. Sean
Hey,
Gurley
but
says
OBJ's got to be getting up there in years.
he
He's
is.
about 31.
Yeah. Well, with those injuries as well, that makes him a little
Yeah.
longer at the
What's
two.
that? 70
Yeah,
by
yeah.
football years for a wide receiver?
You
Yeah.
said what? Yeah.
So Sean Gurley says, I don't think there's too much such thing as being overdrafted. Great GMs and coaches pound the table for great draft picks, and they get the buy-in for the player more often than we realized.
Hey,
Fair.
if they hit, it's a win. It's just like
Mhm.
if the Vikings trade up to number 3 position and it costs them 2 or 3 first-round draft picks, everybody's going to be screaming.
Mhm.
But if that quarterback hits,
If it works,
doesn't
you're a
matter.
genius.
it
Mhm.
does not matter whatsoever.
This is
It'll
true.
be the
It's-
best trade
it's-
you make.
That's facts from Big G. Whatever office he's tweeting this from, that's facts.
That's
Wow.
why they call our coach Dan Gamble. When he gambles and pays off, he's the greatest. When it
Well,
fails,
I
he's
mean-
the worst.
Not always.
I'm just saying that's what it is in football. You gamble and
Hey, you know what? I said this on my show earlier that posted on Monday. I would never shy my team from risking to be great. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes to be great. If you swing and miss, hey, I'll live with that. But I would not live with you avoiding greatness. I can't do it. I can't win with that.
It's we talk with our fans, similar line of thinking. As long as we take a quarterback, and that's generally our consensus,
Exactly.
and
You
that
see that short
quarterback
porch in left
fails,
field. You see
that
that
quar-
short porch in left field, and you know that pitcher's coming down the middle. You better swing.
aim for the
yeah,
fence.
you got to swing. It's the correct process, whether you make contact or not. It's the correct process, and
Exactly.
as long as you're going to get it on one of those times each time you try. Take San Francisco. They traded up and gave 3 first-round picks to take Trey Lance. And then a few years later, they trade him to Dallas as a backup.
Mhm.
That's a crazy fortune because they draft a quarterback 7th round and it worked out.
Mr. Irrelevant. And he's taking him to the Super Bowl.
You did all that for a quarterback, and then you just drafted one in the 7th round, last pick of the draft, and he works out. It's crazy.
Even money.
You never know.
That's the anomaly. But
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
But it's just how like if you're a Frisco fan and you gave up all those picks for a franchise quarterback, and then this happened, you're like, man, what the heck?
As long as you continue to go to the playoffs, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that'll about wrap it up for this week. We're going to cut it a little short, but if you guys have any closing remarks, and we'll start with you, Dave, we can go ahead and let the people get out of here.
for Vikings fans, we have the Real Forno show tonight, and we're talking primer for the combine on what to watch. And we have JP Acosta of SB Nation, one of their national writers, is joining us tonight. And he's going to talk from a viewer's point of view, how to make fun of watching it. I don't know if it involves alcohol and shots or what it does, but it should be a blast. And that's at 6:00 Central tonight over on Vikings First and Skol. We're going to do a combine primer on what to expect and how to watch. Should be fun.
All right. Pay.
Where can you go to hear all the reasons why you should not draft Drake
May.
May number 1? come right over to the DBC, the Bear Claw Podcast. We are located everywhere you get your podcasts: Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, Stitcher, wherever else. Ask Alexa, play the Bear Claw Podcast. She'll take care of you. We're also on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. Check us out.
Foster?
Closing remarks.
Yes, for sure.
The hot news around here is that we're closing in on an extension for Mr. Golf for 4 years. It's not, I don't think it's official, but
Ooh.
What do we say about swinging for the fences, Dave?
Hey. But hey, Mr. Golf has done pretty good for them. So
Hey.
yes.
lock him up. And he's not old. What, he's just turning 30?
29.
29?
Yeah.
29, yeah.
He'll probably be 30. Yeah. So
That says a lot to me about Mr. Hendon, but we can talk about that next week.
Ooh.
maybe it does, maybe it does not. But yeah, and then we just locked down our Pro Bowler, our special team specialist, Jalen Reeves-Maybin. So that was well deserved. Of course, he had a good year. Had some fake punt, passes and fake punt runs and stuff like that. So he made it fun, and he was pretty impactful on the line, on the linebacking core and depth position as well. So that's pretty much all we got going on as of now. And we'll be locking in Amon-Ra St. Brown soon too, I believe. So.
Jim, do I got time for one quick question?
Sure.
Do you believe in drafting a specialist? Punter, kicker.
If you're a team like, it just depends on your team.
I think
I don't believe in draft. I've seen
6th round this year though.
I've seen where Janikowski was picked in the first round by the Raiders.
Right.
They had a pretty good team, and he was a mainstay for a long time and won them a lot of football games. I don't see the Lions better not do it.
Well, here's the thing though. But here's the thing. That's part of the. I feel like the fact that our kicker was somebody that we didn't trust was the reason for some of the decisions that we made that were somewhat questionable. So
Are we talking first round or
No.
Right?
It'd
Just
be the
draft.
end.
okay? Drafting, yeah, you can. Of course,
Yeah.
they are positions of need as well.
Like when did Jake Moody go?
First or second round.
He went pretty early, yeah, and that's done pretty well. So
Yeah. I mean, as long as it's not this year's first round pick, yeah.
no year's first round pick ever. But
I mean, I'm just saying we're 29. We're not used to that.
I see what you're
it's
saying. Well,
better
yeah,
not.
for us it would be later in the first. Yeah,
Yeah.
but no, it's not that deep. It's not that deep.
So now Moody went in the third, according to Sean Gurley.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's
I knew it was early though. That's pretty.
It's
that's
still
pretty
pretty early, is considering it's because a lot of people don't even draft them. They wait till free agency
Uh-huh.
and or who's ever undrafted, and they bring them in to kick them. So,
But like you said, sometimes you'll luck out on a kicker and he'll be kicking for you for 20 years or something crazy like that. Like Jason Hanson, we had him for
Jason Hanson is one of the ones that was here 15, 20 years, just about, and was
best player, our highest scorer for a lot of years.
Okay, that's enough there.
What?
Yeah, but that's nothing to brag about if your kicker being Anyway, you can catch Bleachers and Speakers on Motor City Metrics on YouTube. You can also subscribe to Bleachers and Speaker on YouTube. That's our own new channel that we just started. We need subscribers, so please go to there. You can also check us out on all streaming podcast platforms at Bleachers and Speakers FFSN, and you'll see a lot of material uploaded there, regardless of the off season or not. We're still going to keep this thing going. We're going to get out of here. Dave, what does your team say? Give us your chant on the way out.
Skull Vikings.
Pay.
Bear down.
Good toilet flush. I got to do something about that. Thanks for watching.